Hello and welcome back to another podcast. Today we are talking about something that we all face but don't always talk about, and these are daily stressors. The little things that pile up and sometimes feel way bigger than they are. From long work hours to taking care of family to that never-ending to-do list. Life can feel overwhelming, but the good news is we can learn strategies to make these moments and build resilience along the way. So, why everyday stress feels heavy? Not all stress comes from big life events. In fact, most of our stress comes from small ongoing pressure that so these are known as micro stressors. I couldn't say that there. And these can include constant notifications, being rushed, commuting, feeling behind, and household responsibilities, and sometimes even social pressure and decision fatigue. And these can also, in turn, be heightened if you have a disability or a condition that makes you even more fatigued. For example, if you're visually impaired, it means that you need to be alert even more, which makes you be even more fatigued. So, because if you're using your other senses, like your hearing, to go around daily activities, that means that you are using more of your capabilities. So when you're navigating around, you're a lot more aware of your surroundings, really, because you don't have the physical sight to be able to see where you're going. So you've got to rely on your other senses, like your hearing, your touch, smell, and other things like that. So each one might feel small, but when they stack up, they can drain our emotional energy. And the important thing to remember is you are not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You are human, and modern life throws a lot of pressure. We can fall into patterns of daily stress, and here are some common ones. So, we tend to run on autopilot. So you go through the day reacting instead of responding. So you are busy but not present, and this loads to mental fatigue. There's also ignoring emotional check-ins. So we don't stop and ask, how am I actually feeling right now? And we ignore emotions that can make stress pile up, which in turn can make it even more difficult to get out of an anxiety state because you haven't sort of fixed it at that moment and made it even easier to go on with life. But sometimes we do need to know strategies in place to be able to support our mental health, and I'm going to explain this further in a bit. So there's also thinking we have to handle everything alone, and this means that stress grows when we feel unsupported, and humans are wired for connections. So now I'm going to be talking about practical coping strategies. So let's get into it. So the 7-Eleven technique, which I've actually been taught by Mark on one of our podcasts, and I've explained this alone in my Instagram page as well, so you can just go back to it whenever as a video instead of going into a podcast explaining about it or having to write it down. You can go into the video and watch it then. So the 7-Eleven technique is where you pause for a minute or so and just sort of just breathe like we should. So we inhale for 7 seconds and exhale for 11 seconds. So when you inhale for 7, you use your stomach instead of using your shoulders up and down. So you breathe outwards instead of upwards. So when you breathe in for 7, you don't hold your breath. And then when you exhale for 11, the idea is you're exhaling all of the carbon dioxide out of your body, and the oxygen is getting into your body. And when that happens, when the carbon dioxide isn't being in your body, that means there's less bad things going into your body, essentially. So that means when you go into like an anxiety state, you might be able to get it out of it easier, because carbon dioxide actually makes anxiety worse. So yeah, but it's very important to not hold your breath, because that can cause a panic attack. And this tells your nervous system you're safe. So the power of micro breaks. So when you take 2 to 5 minute breaks every 1 to 2 hours, so you need to stand up, stretch your legs, drink water, and step outside and just reset. And this helps you to just think about like what you need to do next, and it sort of resets your brain and makes you less fatigued as well. And this in turn makes you burn out less because of that. So the third technique is name it to tame it. Well, that's what I like to call it anyway. And so when something stresses you out, you say out loud or write it down what's bothering you, and labeling emotions reduce their intensity. And you can thank them to let them know that they are there. So say, thank you for letting me know that you were there. And that sort of, it makes you feel more in control of your anxiety state, and in turn reduces that anxiety because of that control that you've got over that, because of thanking them they are there. And also there's another one which reduces one small stressor. So ask yourself, what is one tiny thing that can simplify today? For example, lay out clothes for the next day, so the night before. And then also turn off non-essential notifications. And also prepare lunches ahead. And also say no to one extra task if it's not like on the very important list of things to do. You can actually say no, because if you're finding a lot more things pressured lately, then if you take one extra thing on, it can in turn make yourself burn out, and that can cause like illnesses and mental health difficulties. And each small challenge adds up, and the changes add up too. So it's also good to check in with your routines, to try asking yourself these 3 questions daily. So, what do I need today? Also, what's one thing stressing me? And what's one thing I can control? And this in turn helps with your mental state and knowing what you can improve on. Another thing that you can actually do is mainly once a week at the least, try to say to yourself 3 things that are positive and 1 thing that you can improve on. Notice that I'm not saying negative, notice that I'm saying improve on. And if you say the word negative, it rewires your brain again into thinking, oh, I've done this negatively, but it doesn't make your brain think, oh, I can change that though. So when you do that, then it in turn helps with that. So 3 things that I've done well today. I'm filming this podcast. Also, I've made it in uni early. And also my time management has been well this week. One thing that I need to improve on is not relying on coffee too much. That's the only thing I can think of at this moment because it is only Thursday, and normally I start from Monday and then work my way up to Sunday, and on Sundays I do this. And you might want to write this down to keep track of it, or you might just want to do it in your head. And the aim is you can improve on it every single week if you're doing the same task every week. So, for example, time management, that's pretty easy to fix-ish, depending on like timetables and stuff like that. If you've got a set timetable, that might be easier. So, like uni, school, whatever. I'd maybe like create a timetable for yourself. So, when you've got your lectures, workshops, seminars, stuff like that, when you're going to have a break, when you're going to revise, etc. And that helps you keep on top of things. Also, have at least an hour to yourself a day. So this can in turn help with your mental state, because then it helps your brain have a rest from thinking about loads of things throughout the day, and maybe just like do some colouring in, do any activity that supports your mental health and well-being, and that can be what you like in general. So yeah, there's also to ground yourself when you feel anxious. There's also a grounding technique that people use called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. It's basically using all your senses, and I feel like I've spoke about this before in one of my videos and also one of my podcasts too. But the aim is you pick all 5 senses, so sight, hearing, sound, touch, taste. So if you name 5 things that you can see. So if you don't have the sight to be able to do that, you can just do the 4-3-2-1 technique, or you can imagine what's in the room. So 5 things I can see. Well, I'll have to think about this because I can't see. So at the minute I'm in a podcasting room, so there's obviously a mic, some headphones, a mixing desk, my laptop, and I've lost track. I think I've done 4, so that's probably a door as well. If I haven't done 5, that's okay. 4 things I can hear is my own voice, the sound of the mic as well. I can't hear anything else because of the room being so blocked out with noise. 3, that's sight, sound, touch. 3 things I can touch: table, chair, scarf. 2 things I can smell is wood and my perfume. 1 thing I can taste is the minty toothpaste, because I brushed my teeth before I left to go to uni as well. So that's simply just the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. If you get them all mixed up, don't worry about it. Just as long as you're grounding yourself and making yourself aware of your surroundings more than like what you're thinking about or you're stressing out about. And this makes you in turn help with reducing the panic and anxiety that you're facing. But if you're panicking about your surroundings, I would mainly just focus on the 7-11 technique or the 4-7 technique if you're unable to do the 7-11 technique because of breathing difficulties, for example. So the 4-7 technique, I didn't explain that before, but it works the same way as the 7-11 technique, but you're breathing for a shorter amount of time. So breathing in for 4, out for 7. But remember to not hold your breath, because that can cause a panic attack. I hope you enjoyed listening today, and if you want to ask a question, you can comment on the comment section, or you can leave a direct message on Instagram at help.vision_, or you can email me at helpvision216@gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed listening, and please like and subscribe and share the podcast as well. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you all later.